Hey there guys, so in this war we're going up against TCN, who, well, as you know from the first war, can obviously put us up for a really good fight anytime. Anytime we face TCN is going to be a serious war, and that's pretty much the gist of that. Anytime against TCN, so it's always putting on whatever best boost you can, it's finding all the best stuff. It's a lot whenever we face TCN. So up here, I'm actually going to start off with Nebula. She's a champion I ranked up a while ago for War, and right when I ranked her up, it took me a little while to actually get to use her in War, but I've used her a couple times now, and she's really good in War, but I don't really like using her outside of War, if I'm being honest. I also wish I had the Proxima synergy more, but I don't really use Corvus, so it's really not like good to bring just a Proxima for Nebula. So for this fight, this is that Path 3 that's been causing some issues this season with different bugs and also just being an annoying node. But because it's a Nimrod here, if you just use Nebula, you just reduce his ability accuracy and he doesn't do anything. And my officer told me not to parry. I'll be honest, once I got up to like near 20 charges, I was really considering just parry and just rebuild my charges back up to remove the ability accuracy, but I decided to listen to what my officer suggested and told me to do. So I just want as many charges as I can, honestly, just so if I have to parry, I get maximum damage. Because of its Nebula, of course, he wasn't gaining any of his charges, so and then he can't do anything from that special, so it was pretty easy to bait out the SP2. The SP3 is going to really up my damage for a little bit because it gives you all those shocks when you just make any contact. They're not as big as her standard shocks, but you can place a lot of them really quickly just by hitting them. And right here is where I was definitely considering parrying, because it would just finish off the fight for sure. Like 100% it would finish off the fight. But I'm like, okay, I'll just finish out some combos, because with the suicides on that I had, yeah, because I do have suicides on for this part, like 6k crit's pretty good. Right here I'm like 3%, I'll parry. And the first tick does the 3k and finishes him off. Pretty easy fight. They didn't place anything on the second node on path 3, so one less fight for me there. But now I have the Apocalypse with Nimrod, which is also why I went for that Power Start 1. My officer told me to go for my SP3, so I figured Power Start 1 will be good for both fights. I think the last time I took this, I had it with Mr. F pre-fights, but this time I don't have any pre-fights. I'm fairly confident in this fight. I'm also a rank 4, and assuming you play this right, if he throws a special, he'll get a cowardice placed on him, so that's pretty good for you. I wanted to get as many armors up as I could while power stack was down, and I wanted to bait out that SP2 because it's a little bit better to bait because, well, you're just baiting less specials. Right there, I maybe should have baited one more special first, but with backup recovery and power stack, I was able to get that second, my dex up, so I don't have to worry about the power stack, and he was just below SP3, so I timed it really well. And right here, I just want to get a couple parries off and get up to my SP2. So like right here, I'm like, I want one more parry just in case. So I go up for my 10, so I'm also unblockable, so nothing can go wrong. I was a little bit worried. I was like, what if this doesn't kill? Even though the first one took off like 50% of his health. So now here I have to take off suicides. So at this point in the war, it was actually, we were already down. It was like 2-1 or something, I think. We just had a couple early deaths. They were a little bit silly. It was fine though. I think that was at this point. I'm pretty sure. And we're like, okay, we just have to keep playing well. You know, we know how to do this. We know how to finish out a war. We're fine. Like, let's just not stress it. Right here, I'm just filling in some mastery points because I want to put suicides back on after this. And Doom honestly doesn't get the biggest effect out of willpower because you don't get armor break on you, and a lot of debuffs in War are armor break. Plus, the only fight I really need him for is this Nova, and Nova doesn't apply a debuff to me, so I didn't feel like I needed to put on any of my regen side of masteries yet. So for right here, it's that same Mixmaster Nova again. I'm going to play it fairly similarly. Right there I could have made a different change, but I liked that I went for the light, medium, light, because I could have also gone into another medium or a heavy at the end of it there. but I decided against that. Again, I'm playing it pretty slow. I want to mainly end on a heavy or a light, just so I can punish any of his heavies or his SP1. That's really all you got to focus on, is just to not end on a medium, and Mixmaster becomes pretty easy, because then you can just punish anything you want to. It's as long as you have a consistent way to end your combo, and that you'll keep track of it. That's all that matters. And right here, I go for a pretty long... I tried to get as many hits off as I could. I wanted Mystic Dispersion for that, so I'd get some of those. So I'd get some of it from there. I don't know why I made him evade. I could have just, like, gotten a stagger up to prevent the unblockable. I'm not going to get hit by said unblockable. I could have, like, ended in a heavy and then gone for my SP2, which would have been a better move, technically. And right here, it's pretty close to the end of the fight, and I'm still up at 98% health, so I'm not really too worried at this point. And I think I'm just gonna wait. Yeah, I wait until my aura goes off to throw my SP2, because Nova was pretty much made to counter Corvus and Ghost. So if you're unblockable or guaranteed crits, he reduces your damage by a lot. So if with Doom, you still do a lot of damage against him because you're Doom against a Cosmic, but your SP2 specifically does a lot less damage than it typically does because it's unblockable. So while it kind of is a bummer because it's your big damage is right SP3 to get the Fury, then you SP2, but you can just go for the SP2 with no aura, and because you're not unblockable, it does the standard damage that a boosted R4 Doom with class advantage does, which is quite a bit. Right here, I actually ended up waiting for Global to go down. I didn't need to, but Global just happened to go down by the time I had energy to fight this, and it's another fight with Nebula. My officer, once Global went down, said, well, I can go in with this with Doom because there's no Global, but I was originally assigned Nebula, and then I wanted to put Suicides on for my next fight, so I was like, I'd rather take 2 fights with Suicides than, like, kind of be like, do I put them back on for 1 fight? So I put on Suicide, so I do this with 2 fights. My plan here, even before Global went down, because they're both Global champions, is I want him to be below a bar of power and then to do my parry, because if he was above a bar of power, right, he shortens the debuff duration on him, so I didn't want him to shrug it off before I could get off my SP2, the final hit. And then here I have this Kitty Pryde. I've taken this fight before, and Nimrod is just, of course, insanely good for it. Immune to ability accuracy reduction, he removes prowess, he's a tank, and he kills everything in a single SP2, because she's not a mini-boss and she has really low health. So with a Power Start 1, you're going to see the absolute just destruction that this man is. So I wait for there, so I get my extra armor ups for extra damage, throw the SP2, I'm going to convert those prowess into extra shocks, and I think I killed before the second to last hit, so there was a lot of overkill there, only a 19-second fight. I'll be honest, I was really wanting to take this Omega Sentinel, and I made the joke about it to the guy, because ever since he joined, I made the joke that I was going to steal his fight. I haven't, and I won't. I don't really like stealing fights, but I thought it would be a really good Nebula fight, but he had it with another really good counter, so I wasn't annoyed about it. I was just making a joke. But later in the war, he was like, you could take it, I just don't feel it, because at that point, we were down 4-1 or 4-2, and we kind of knew TCN wasn't going to fumble it again. It was a different feeling from the last time, if that makes any sense. They played very well. 2 deaths is incredibly solid. There's not really anything else you can say. Even us on a good day would struggle to beat a 2-death war. Right, you have to get a 0 or a 1, beat them on time with 2. It's a really hard score to beat. They played extremely well, and we just didn't play up to our standard selves. We died on fights that we didn't feel we should have died. There was just a couple just silly things going on like that. Also, I think one of TCN's deaths was actually a disconnect, so it was really 1-6 even at that. So they played phenomenally. So yeah, just GG to TCN. It was a great war. It's not the war we wanted, but it was a good war nonetheless. Hopefully we're able to clutch it out in this final war and secure war champs again. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll be seeing you guys soon. Bye.